lot to unwrap today. What a great performance by your football team. What's the highlights what you saw today?
Well, I think good complementary football in the first half. Offense taking advantage of a really good field position set up by the defense, and the special teams return game. Defense making it really hard on them again. They got the score before the half, and we really challenged the guys at halftime. And I thought the way we came out in the third quarter was the response that we're looking for, and then the opportunity to get, I believe, everybody in the game again, and see those guys, on that stage, getting game reps is so critical. So another good team effort and the performance we needed today.
Defensively, you add on to your positive turnover ratio. That's huge.
Yeah, I know one was on a kind of a breakout run. We've done that a couple times now. And that's a sign of our guys just continuing to play. I think Caden punched that ball out, and Caden had the pick that was a big turning point as far as just any momentum they could have possibly gained at that time. So yeah, our ability to take the ball away and then not turn it over. The offense didn't turn over there. I know we had to turn over in special teams, but I take that back. We did turn the ball over at the end, didn't we? With the younger crew. So, but the top crew didn't turn it over on offense, and I think Justin's making good decisions. So that's the type of football we need to continue to play.
What's the significance of Caden in the secondary? Now you mentioned 2 plays today, but just kind of holistic.
Yeah, he's been real steady. He's calling the quarterback of the defense. He is that. He's our communicator, and he's he was missed last year for sure. We missed him for a good chunk of the season, and to get him back and have him play the way he's played, certainly was our expectation. But to have it, come to fruition, it's been really nice that kids work so hard to have now this season that he's put together now 10 games, and that's what you want for the young man that wants it so bad. So appreciate his playmaking, but more his leadership and all the things he does for us.
What's the biggest thing you've seen grow in the offense?
I don't know. I think I would say that who needs to make the plays? It could be a lot of guys. So I think that group of playmakers has continued to grow. It's not that we need to particularly lean on anyone anyone at any given time, and our health is a piece to that. We're really healthy on the offensive side, and I think guys have continued to improve. So whether it's guys in that running back room, the receiver room, the tight end room, got Ryan King in the end zone today, and Chris made some plays, and Taco continues to make the plays that he makes. But I just think the growth of who can make plays, and then I think for Justin that build and who he can put the ball, who he's going to throw the ball to, I guess, has. I think that's in a lot different place than it would have been, back in September.
You mentioned Ryan, first career touchdown in 50-plus games, and then Jordan having that kind of crazy touchdown. Just what you think of those 2 plays?
Yeah, I think let's talk Ryan. Ryan's really appreciate his growth through, I'd say, the last month in particular. He was a little slow go because he was coming off an injury, and he didn't have spring ball and didn't have much summer, and now I think he's becoming a guy that we can look to make plays. And I don't know that it was that way before. I think we always hoped we'd get to that point. So I think we're getting there with him. And then, get Jordan a little bit of a run. I know that was a ball tipped up in the air, but Jordan's out there earlier and makes a really good decision on that throwback that could have gone to Adam or Justin. He made the right decision there. So the more things we can continue to do with him in this offense, that's an added element that people have to consider. Because he's a big, tall guy that can go up and get it, which that hasn't necessarily happened yet. But then he can throw it too, like he did today.
And defensively, 4 straight game with a 3-and-out to start, and then not allowing 14 again in Big Sky play.
Yeah.
So what do you think of that, especially without Paul and Seth?
Yeah, I think if we can have it our way, we want to kick the ball off and play defense first, and the defense knows that that's the way we do it. They got to set the tone, and they continue to do that. And it's about a lot of guys. It's not about any 1 or 2 guys. That's the key thing, and that's where we could play today without Paul. We could play today without Seth. I hope it's not that way for very long, but we could do that, and we could continue to, expect, play at a real high standard. And I think those guys really own that piece. And then they were just really disappointed at halftime, giving up that scoring drive. Not all, there was a fake punt in there that we gave up, and things happen, and you got to be able to react and respond. And that's what I think this team and whether it is the offense, the defense, special teams, I think we continue to find ways to be resilient, lean on one another, and respond.
Does it make things easier, Coach, when you're starting a lot of your offensive possessions in plus territory?
Oh, absolutely. The field position in that first half, and you can look at this, we didn't have a ton of yards today. It piled up maybe at the end a little bit, but you kept looking up there, we didn't have many yards simply because the fields were so short, and that's okay. The bottom line is to be able to take advantage of those opportunities and score points, and it was the defense, it was the special teams, the return game. I think it really had an impact today, and that's again a team effort, the well-rounded aspect. Defense needs to set up offense, special teams can set up offense, and offense needs to do everything it can to take care of the defense as far as field position goes. So for the most part, that was on point today.
You guys seem like you're getting more consistent too as the season goes on. Is that something you're seeing, and if so, what?
Yeah, I think we continue to get better, continue to believe we can get better. I think that's sometimes the biggest challenge. Complacency is such an easy place to settle into, and this group, I don't think they they don't even understand it or not, I don't know, but we've been able to play who's ever in front of us and make it about the opportunity versus the opponent, and that's not easy. Human nature sets in all too often for anybody, especially young people. So our ability to continue to hold ourselves to the standard of, hey, we need to go out and take this opportunity as seriously as possible. Doesn't matter who we play, where we play, and try to get better. I really appreciate how our guys have bought into that. We got an extremely coachable group. A group that I think understands what it means to work together and work for one another.
I guess in terms of being opportunistic, just how the secondary played today. A couple picks. Carson had the TFL, just kind of how they took advantage.
Yeah, it was good to see the group get a couple interceptions. Other than that, we probably had a coverage breakdown. The ball got behind Jace. That really set up their score. I think we did a good job of challenging routes. I think that's one area we've continued to get better. Challenging routes, showing more coverage. Just more pre-snap pictures for we-quarterbacks to look at, and then we've just continued to get pressure. Again, a day where we probably didn't rack up wherever the sacks are on this whole. We got pressure though. That's the bottom line, and I think teams know that whatever we do, we better get the ball out of our hands, and that's an advantage to those secondary guys, and they know that, and pleased with that group's continued growth.
How important is it for your kicking game to have come around here in the last 3 games?
Yeah, place kicking wise, the ball's coming off Miles' foot, I think, very, very well now, very consistently, and that's that's been huge. I know we had that little stretch where we were missing too many kicks, and now we got 3 games in a row, where we've been able to knock them all in, and 48-yarder before the half. I was just looking at that yardage. That was a really good opportunity for him, and he made the most of it. So that's big. I think Colby's kickoffs, we still need to be able to hone in some consistency there, but we're covering like crazy. We might be spraying the ball over, but we got guys covering those kicks. And then any day where you limit the punting opportunities, that's the way we want that to look. But I know the one he hit was good. So those 3 specialists, Brody and Colby, their growth as true freshmen, we've seen that. Miles kind of settling in now has been big.
Having Dane and Taco back there, both obviously both they had big returns. Can you speak to just that?
Yeah, it was a response to kind of their punt team spraying the ball over the place. It was a good thought by Coach Monaco to get 2 guys back there. Dane's very capable. It didn't mean that we were trying to funnel the ball one way or the other, but it was hopefully giving us an opportunity to return the ball. When you spray the ball but you don't get the ball up in the air, you want to make sure you get an opportunity, and I think that was a well-planned deal by Coach Monaco. And I think we fumbled the one. Obviously, we don't want to do that, but Dane certainly showed that he's got the ability to return punts as well.
And then Jabez, longest return since 22 for you guys. So just continued.
Yeah, we were sitting 30 some seconds, and without that, that scoring opportunity probably doesn't exist. I think his opportunities and his understanding of when they need to be sought after, I think, is a continued learning process. But he's proven to be a weapon back there. He hasn't had a ton of them this year, but anytime we've taken that ball out, he shows that he can do some things with it.
Coach, almost 300 yards on the ground today, 6 touchdowns. Just how impressed were you with the offensive line's performance in the ground game today?
Yeah, I think another team that's going to put a lot of guys down in there, and if you can get the line and the linebackers paired up, it's really hard for secondary guys to fit that the way they did things. And it's pretty telling that we were getting on guys and we were moving guys and creating opportunities. And we got a whole host of offensive linemen in that game. And if even for that last group, and we had 3-4 guys that don't even travel with us in that last group, for them to get a score was big though. So our ability to run the football, still has to be the foundation for what we do. And it was another day where we did that successfully.
For the first time at home in over a month, how did it feel to have that boost from the crowd?
Yeah, it was great to be home. Just great to be back in that routine that we had so often going back to the beginning part of the season. And knowing that we're gonna be home 2 weeks in a row here, it's big. And I think great crowd today. We'll need another great crowd next Saturday night. That should be a scene, and we got to make it a scene. And I know our crowd is ready and raring for a nighttime opportunity late in the season to show what they can do.